The first hour of your day is not a warm up. It's not a casual scroll through your phone or a hit of caffeine just to get by. The first hour is the foundation, the spark, the single most powerful opportunity. You have to set the tone for your entire life. How you begin determines how you show up, not just for that day, but over time for your goals, your growth, your relationships, your purpose. You either control the morning or the morning controls you. Most people don't realize they're giving away power the moment they open their eyes. They hit snooze. They let emails, texts, and problems dictate their mood. They start the day reacting, absorbing whatever the world throws at them. That is not how successful people live. That is not how winners rise. If the first hour is filled with distraction, fatigue, noise, and negativity, how can the rest of the day be anything different? You must rise with intention. You must decide every morning that this hour belongs to you. It's your time to think, to breathe, to reconnect with your mission. It's not selfish to prioritize your inner world before facing the outer one. It's strategic. The world can only meet you at the level you've met yourself. You can't pour energy, clarity, or confidence into anything unless you've filled yourself first. Owning the first hour means making a contract with yourself. It means choosing rituals over routine. It means showing up for your highest self before you're expected to show up for anyone else. It starts by waking up on your terms, not on default, but by design. Get out of bed with certainty, with movement, with energy. Don't wait for motivation. Create it. Get your body moving. Get your breath under control. Prime your system to fire on all cylinders, because energy is not something you wait for. It's something you generate. Don't waste the most important hour of your day doing what everyone else is doing. You weren't made to follow. You were made to lead. That starts with leadership over your own body and your own mind. Read something that sharpens your focus. Journal what matters most to you. Remind yourself of your goals, not in some vague, wishful way, but with clarity, intensity, and truth. Write them down. Speak them out loud. Feel them in your body. You're not here to coast through the day. You're here to drive it. When you own your morning, you train yourself to make decisions that serve your future, not your comfort. It's not comfortable to get up earlier. It's not comfortable to work out, to meditate, to do hard things before the world is even awake. But greatness never comes from comfort. It comes from standards. And this hour, this sacred window, sets your standard. This is the hour where most people choose to numb, to hide, to delay. But if you want a life that's different, you have to act differently. You have to condition yourself to respond like the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. That begins with reclaiming the morning. Not just physically waking up, but mentally awakening, spiritually awakening, awakening to who you really are and what you're really here to do. The world is noisy. It's relentless. If you don't prepare yourself in that first hour, if you don't armor your mind with clarity and strength, then distractions will break through your defenses. You'll be pulled off course before you even get started. That's why the first hour isn't optional. It's non-negotiable. It's your moment of creation, a moment to reconnect with your values, your identity, your mission. You can train your brain to associate mornings with momentum. You can make those 60 minutes the most purposeful of your day. And when you do that consistently, you build trust with yourself. You begin to believe that your decisions matter, that you can follow through, that you are the kind of person who shows up fully, with intention every single day. This is where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the silence, in the discipline of those quiet hours where no one else is watching. This is where the internal victories happen. And those victories compound. They become habits. Habits become identity, and identity shapes destiny. There is no shortcut to owning your life, but there is a strategy. And it begins the moment you open your eyes, before emails, before calls, before the demands of the world start pressing in. The first hour is your edge, your reset, your place to breathe, to align, to declare I am in control. I decide what today becomes. Success isn't just about strategy. It's not just about having the perfect plan or the right steps laid out on paper. Strategy without emotional fuel is like a car with no gas. You won't move. You need drive. You need force. And that force comes from your emotional state. Emotions are not random reactions. They are the fuel behind every action you take and every action you don't. The quality of your life comes down to the quality of your emotional patterns. When you're feeling confident, energized, passionate, you move, you create, you risk, you lead. But when you're stuck in fear, doubt, anger, or uncertainty, you shrink, you hesitate, you sabotage your own potential before it has a chance to express itself. That's why it's not just important to manage your emotions. It's vital. Your emotional state shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. Every morning you wake up, you're not just waking up your body, you're waking up a certain level of emotion. And if you don't set it consciously, it will default to whatever you've been conditioned to feel. For most people, that's stress, that's fatigue, that's anxiety or indifference. But emotions can be trained. You don't have to wait for something good to happen to feel powerful. You don't have to let your emotions be reactive. You can take command of them. You can generate the emotions that drive the life you want. The secret is motion. The fastest way to shift your emotional state is to shift your body. Your physiology is the remote control to your emotions. You've never seen someone depressed with their chest up, their eyes lifted, their breath deep and strong. And you've never seen someone confident with their shoulders slumped and their breathing shallow. The body leads the mind. Change how you move, and you'll change how you feel. That's why movement is not just about health. It's about power. When you train your body, you train your state. You teach yourself to associate physical energy with mental clarity, emotional strength, and peak performance. You wire in patterns that make it easier to access courage when fear tries to creep in. That's how momentum begins, not with thought, but with motion. Motion gets you out of your head. And once you're out of your head, you're out of hesitation. You're in flow. You're in the present. You're in command. Your emotions are like muscles. The more you practice certain states, like gratitude, confidence, certainty, passion, the easier they become to access. And the more familiar they become, the more often they'll show up when you need them most. This isn't about pretending to feel good when life is hard. It's about conditioning yourself to be stronger than your circumstances. It's about creating a default state that empowers you no matter what's happening outside of you. Because the truth is, life will challenge you. You will be tested. There will be days when things don't go your way, when people disappoint you, when results don't come fast enough. And in those moments, the only thing you truly control is your state. When you've trained your emotions, you can stand tall even when everything around you feels uncertain. You can tap into your highest self, not because it's easy, but because it's who you've become. Emotions also affect how you connect with others. Energy is contagious. People feel you before they hear you. If you walk into a room full of doubt, tension, or negativity, that energy spreads. But when you walk in with certainty, with passion, with a magnetic presence, everything changes. People follow leaders who radiate strength, not because they have all the answers, but because they transmit belief. And that belief comes from emotional mastery. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your state. Don't wait for something outside of you to inspire it. Create it. Breathe deeper. Move with intention. Speak with power. Choose your focus. Ask better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn? How can I grow? What's my next move? The questions you ask determine the emotions you experience, and those emotions decide the level at which you live. And don't just rely on willpower. Build habits that pull you into powerful states automatically. Use music, movement, cold showers, visualization, affirmations, anything that gets you out of reaction and into creation, anything that anchors you to the best version of yourself. Because when you can access the right emotion, you unlock the right motion. And when you move with purpose, you create momentum that nothing can stop. You are not your feelings. You are not your fear, your past, your pain. You are the creator of your experience. And the tool you have right now in this moment is the ability to shift how you feel, to choose a state that leads instead of one that limits. That choice, when made consistently, becomes your edge in life. It becomes the reason you keep going when others quit. It becomes the reason you act when others freeze. Your mind is the command center of your life. It's where every decision is born, every belief is shaped, and every emotion is filtered. What you allow into your mind determines the quality of your focus, your confidence, your vision, and your actions. Yet most people guard their money more fiercely than they guard their thoughts. They'll protect their passwords, lock their phones, and install security systems on their homes. But they'll let negativity, fear, doubt, and distraction walk right into their minds without resistance. That is the gateway to failure. That is how dreams are suffocated quietly, subtly, one unfiltered thought at a time. If you want to build a life that's powerful, fulfilled, and successful, then you must stand guard at the door of your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. Your thoughts become your beliefs shape your standards, and your standards dictate the level at which you live. You cannot produce excellence from a poisoned mindset. You cannot build strength on a foundation of self-doubt. You cannot lead others if you can't first lead the direction of your own thoughts. Every day, the world is throwing information at you. The news is screaming fear. Social media is feeding you comparison. People around you are projecting their limitations, their insecurities, their scarcity. If you're not conscious, you absorb it. If you're not vigilant, you adopt it. It becomes the lens through which you see your potential. Instead of asking, what's possible? You start asking, what if I fail? That mental shift may seem small, but it can change the course of your entire life. You must become the gatekeeper. That means being deliberate with what you consume, what you focus on, and who you allow into your inner circle. You were not put here to echo the fears of the world. You were built to rise above them. You must learn to filter, to question, to challenge every belief that doesn't empower you. Just because you think a thought doesn't mean it's true. Just because someone else believes something doesn't mean it applies to your destiny. The brain is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant will grow. If you plant weeds, thoughts of doubt, fear, blame, limitation, that's exactly what will take root. But if you plant power, purpose, resilience, and gratitude, your mind becomes a force field, not a sponge. One of the most dangerous things you can do is leave your mental state up to chance. You cannot afford to drift through life hoping the right thoughts will show up. You must train your mind with the same intensity an athlete trains their body. You must condition it with repetition, intention, and clarity every single day. Because if you don't program your mind, the world will do it for you. And the world isn't in the business of creating your success, it's in the business of distraction. Standing guard doesn't mean avoiding all negativity. It means deciding what serves you and discarding what doesn't. It means listening to feedback without absorbing criticism. It means recognizing fear for what it is, a signal, not a stop sign. It means developing the ability to pivot your focus at will from what's wrong to what's possible, from what's missing to what's already in your hands. That level of focus is not accidental. It's trained. It's earned through discipline. You must build an environment that feeds your mind with strength. Your surroundings are shaping you whether you realize it or not. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the content you scroll through, these are the architects of your mental state. When you surround yourself with excellence, with wisdom, with truth, your mind becomes sharper, clearer, and more unshakable. But when you surround yourself with noise, drama, and chaos, don't be surprised when your life begins to reflect the same. Guarding your mind also means mastering your internal dialogue. What you say to yourself when no one else is listening is shaping your reality more than any outside voice ever could. If you call yourself weak, stuck, or behind, your body and your actions will respond accordingly. But when you speak to yourself like a leader, like a winner, like someone who expects more from life, you begin to rise. Not because the external world changed, but because you changed the way you interpret it. Your focus is your power. Whatever you give attention to grows. If you focus on problems, they expand. If you focus on solutions, they reveal themselves. If you focus on pain, it multiplies. If you focus on purpose, it intensifies. The question is, where are you placing your attention right now? Are you directing it, or is it being hijacked? Standing guard is a lifestyle, not a one-time act. It's a decision you make in every moment. To respond instead of react, to lead instead of follow, to elevate instead of spiral. The thoughts you allow to linger become the beliefs that shape your destiny. You don't get to choose every situation, but you always get to choose your interpretation. And your interpretation is what writes the script of your life. Happiness isn't a destination. It isn't found in a number, a title, a trophy, or some far-off goal that you'll eventually reach someday. True happiness is progress. It's the feeling that you're moving forward, growing, expanding, becoming more. When you feel like you're evolving, even in the smallest way, there's energy, there's life, there's fire. That's where fulfillment lies, not in the finish line, but in the process of becoming. Stagnation is the enemy of happiness. It doesn't matter how successful you look on the outside. If you're not growing, you're dying on the inside. People chase outcomes thinking they'll feel better once they arrive. They believe happiness is waiting on the other side of the promotion, the house, the relationship, the status. But how many people have reached those milestones only to feel empty when they get there? That's because achievement without progress feels hollow. What truly lights you up is knowing that you're evolving, that today you're a little stronger, a little smarter, a little more in control than you were yesterday. Progress is the source of pride. It's the quiet confidence that comes from honoring your word to yourself. It's the internal momentum you build when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start moving. Because motion changes emotion. Action breeds clarity, and the smallest step forward beats the best idea stuck in your head. You don't need massive breakthroughs to feel alive. You need forward motion. Even one small win can change the way you show up to your entire life. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. It's about becoming the type of person who consistently pushes forward, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one else sees what you're doing behind the scenes. That internal standard, that relentless hunger to grow, is what separates the fulfilled from the frustrated. It's the dividing line between a life of purpose and a life of regret. You must redefine success as growth. That means falling in love with the process, not just the reward. It means showing up to the gym when motivation is low, reading when you'd rather scroll, speaking up when fear wants you silent. It means trading short-term comfort for long-term pride, because progress often disguises itself as hard work, as repetition, as resistance. It doesn't always feel exciting in the moment, but it always feels meaningful in the aftermath. Every day is a chance to evolve. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to commit to being slightly better than you were yesterday. Better effort, better choices, better presence. It's not about going from zero to hero overnight. It's about mastering the art of inching forward, stacking wins, building trust with yourself, and knowing that each step is compounding into something greater. And progress doesn't have to look like what the world expects. It doesn't always show up in bank statements or applause. Sometimes progress is saying no when you used to say yes to things that drained you. Sometimes it's having a hard conversation you would have avoided. Sometimes it's setting a boundary, taking a breath instead of reacting, showing compassion when anger was easier. These aren't loud achievements, but they're powerful. They are signs that you are leading yourself. When you track progress, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, you give yourself proof that you're not stuck. Even if the world around you moves slowly, you create a record of resilience. You start to notice your own growth instead of constantly comparing it to someone else's highlight reel. That's where ownership begins. That's where pride is born. And that's where true momentum comes from. Not from luck, not from shortcuts, but from showing up consistently and refusing to settle. There will be days when it feels like nothing is changing. You'll wonder if the work is worth it. But progress isn't always visible in the moment. Some of the biggest breakthroughs come in silence, in patience, in persistence. When you stick with the process long enough, there's a tipping point. A moment when what felt like struggle turns into strength. When the effort transforms into ease. But you don't get that gift unless you're willing to keep moving without immediate reward. Progress means you're alive. It means you haven't given up. It means you still believe in what you're building, even if no one else claps for it yet. When you stop growing, life gets stale. But when you keep pushing your edge, mentally, emotionally, physically, you unlock more of who you really are. Growth exposes your power. It teaches you what you're capable of. It reminds you that you're not here to coast, you're here to rise. You don't need everything to be perfect to be proud. You just need movement. You just need motion in the direction of your purpose. Because deep down, happiness isn't about ease. It's about meaning. And meaning comes from knowing that who you are today is stronger, wiser, and more intentional than who you were yesterday. Your entire life can change in a single moment, and that moment begins with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, a real decision, one made with absolute clarity, backed by unwavering commitment, and followed through with relentless action. Everything begins there. Until you decide, nothing happens. You can read all the books, gather all the knowledge, listen to all the motivational speeches, but if you haven't made a real decision, you're still standing still. A decision isn't a thought, it's a line in the sand. It's a shift in identity. It's saying, this is who I am now, and there's no turning back. Deciding isn't easy because a true decision kills off alternatives. It eliminates the backup plan. That's where most people hesitate. They keep one foot in and one foot out just in case it doesn't work out. That mindset is a trap. If you leave the door cracked open to the old version of yourself, you'll run back the moment things get hard. But when you burn the boats, when you declare that there's no retreat, you find a level of power inside you that most never tap into. Because now it's not a preference, it's a must. And when something becomes a must, you'll find a way. But a decision alone isn't enough. You must commit. Commitment means you show up when it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, when it's slow, when it's lonely. Commitment is not a feeling. It's not something you renew when you feel inspired. It's a standard you hold yourself to even on the worst days. When the excitement wears off, commitment keeps you in motion. It's the discipline of doing what you said you'd do long after the emotion you set it in has faded. Anyone can be excited on day one. What matters is who shows up on day 100, when the results haven't arrived yet, when no one's cheering, and when quitting looks easier. Commitment is a declaration to your future self. It's a vow to the version of you that's waiting on the other side of this journey, the stronger, wiser, more powerful version that can only be revealed through adversity. You can't dabble your way to transformation. You can't get fit by working out once in a while. You can't build a business by showing up when you feel like it. You can't lead, change, or inspire without relentless follow through. Commitment is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. But even commitment isn't enough unless it's paired with action. Relentless, focused, intentional action. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards execution. It rewards those who get up and do the work imperfectly, consistently, unreasonably. Action is what separates the thinkers from the doers, the dreamers from the achievers. You can visualize your goals every morning, you can write them in beautiful journals, you can talk about them with passion. But until you act, they're just ideas floating in your head. You build confidence through action. You build skill through repetition. You build momentum by showing up. The reason so many people stay stuck isn't because they lack talent. It's because they wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But perfection is the enemy of progress. The perfect time is an illusion. The people who win are the ones who start before they feel ready. They make the call. They have the conversation. They take the step, and they figure it out along the way. Clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from engagement. You get clear by doing. You get stronger by trying. You learn by failing and adjusting, not by sitting on the sidelines. Massive action creates massive results, but action without direction is chaos. That's why your decision must be rooted in vision. Your commitment must be fueled by purpose. When you know why you're doing it, when you've connected your goal to something deeper than surface level motivation, you become unstoppable. Discipline becomes easier. Sacrifice becomes normal. Resistance becomes fuel, because now you're not just working towards something, you're becoming someone. You're becoming the kind of person who follows through, who adapts, who endures, who finishes. You'll be tested. Every big decision invites resistance. Life will throw distractions, challenges, and excuses in your path. That's when most people retreat. But that's also where your power is forged. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in confrontation. And when you're committed, you stop negotiating with your limitations. You stop arguing for your excuses. You stop shrinking back into old habits every time things feel difficult. You move forward, not because it's easy, but because you've already decided who you are. This formula, decide, commit, act, is simple but not easy. It demands that you lead yourself, that you trust the process even when the results aren't visible yet, that you keep going when progress is slow, when your mind plays tricks, when no one understands what you're building. But when you live by this standard, everything changes. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop watching others live with passion and start embodying it. Because when you decide who you are, commit without excuses, and act without hesitation, you stop hoping for a breakthrough and start becoming one. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's built one intentional day at a time. And that building begins the moment you wake up. You own the first hour. You create the energy. You choose the thoughts you allow. You grow every single day and you decide, commit, and act with relentless purpose. That's the formula. That's the difference between those who wish and those who isn't about hype. It's about habits. It's about showing up for yourself before the world demands anything from you. Because when you lead your mind, your emotions, your actions, and your focus, nothing stays the same. You don't just chase success. You become the person who commands it. You are not here to repeat yesterday. You are here to rise. You are here to evolve. You are here to take full control of your life starting now.